If you want to build muscle, burn fat, and just get in damn good shape, then click the link in this bio and learn how you can inquire about my online coaching. Now let's get to the video. Calisthenics is one of the most beneficial ways anyone can train to build muscle and to get strong. And progressive overload is the most important training principle to make significant gains. Combining the two, you have a perfect concoction to get big and to get brutally strong. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how to progress on your calisthenics movements to keep reaping more benefits, making more gains, building more muscle for future years to come. So let's get into it. So first off, you want to use basic movements: pull-ups, dips, push-ups, inverted rows, and leg raises. I haven't mentioned any lower body movements on this list because to get the most out of your legs and develop them maximally, you need to use external weight. So things like barbell squats and hip hinges, you need to do them and you need to get quite strong at them to really develop the legs. Whereas the upper body, you can get away with just doing calisthenics movements only. Depending on your training experience, you may need to start with easier variations of these exercises. So for example, elevated push-ups, jumping or assisted pull-ups and knee raises, etc. And then once you get strong enough to do the normal versions of these exercises, so for example, you go from assisted pull-ups to regular pull-ups, when you can get around the 10 to 20 reps for multiple sets, then it's time to start adding external weight. Certain exercises is going to be easier to get the 10 to 20 reps. For example, 20 rep push-ups, anyone can do that as long as they stay consistent enough. Whereas 20 rep pull-ups, that's quite a feat of strength to do. It can potentially take you years to accomplish. Hence why I've made the range of reps so broad, 10 to 20 reps. So when you can get all of these exercises within that large rep range, then it's time to start adding external weight. Then you want to perform these exercises with a weight that forces you in the 6 to 12 rep range. You want to drop your reps a bit lower like this because it just makes progressive overload a lot easier. Things like cardiovascular fatigue and the burn in your muscles, they won't be as much of a factor compared to higher reps, therefore making you achieve muscular failure a lot easier. Now the amount of weight you need to add to keep you in the 6 to 12 rep range will differ for every person, so a little bit of experimenting is required here. And then you're going to use basic progression like I always mention. So when you can get multiple sets between the 6 to 12 rep range with a given weight, the next session you increase the total amount of weight by 1.25 kilo. And then you just repeat that process for months, if not years to come. This progression scheme is very easy with pull-ups and dips because of the simplicity of the weight belt. It's not an awkward tool to use and it's very easy to keep adding plate after plate with it. Whereas push-ups and pull-ups, you need to use a backpack to add external weight, which can make just putting it on and getting it off a lot more awkward to do. It's still doable, but just keep that in mind. Your push-ups and inverted rows, it's going to be a bit of a bitch at times when you start adding a lot of weight onto it. So adding weight to your calisthenics is an extremely effective method to build a lot of muscle and to get you brutally strong over years to come. Another method of progression for your calisthenics is to increase your leverages. So for example, you go from a regular pull-up to an L-sit pull-up. Just extending your legs, it makes the exercise a lot harder. It increases the momentum. Basically meaning because you're manipulating your body in a certain position, it makes the exercise a lot harder and it feels a lot heavier to pull yourself up. Personally, I'm not a fan of this progression method because your progressive overload is quite limited. For example, with the L-sit pull-up, after a few months of it, you're going to get quite proficient at the movement and you're going to be forced to do higher reps. Now, as muscle hypertrophy is the exact same with reps between 5 to 30, most of your efforts are going to be best spent in the lower of that rep range. So like 5 to 12 reps is going to be the sweet spot you want to stay in. Simply because when you go lower in reps, factors like cardiovascular fatigue and the burn in your muscles, they don't really come into play. But also getting very strong at the basic movements with a lot of weight that will carry over to those flashy moves if you decide to do them in the future. For example, if you build up to a 60 kilo pull-up for multiple reps, if later on you decide to practice for a one-arm pull-up, it's going to be a lot easier to accomplish because you're just brutally strong at pulling up weight. And the same goes for any other calisthenics movement. If you get very strong at weighted dips and weighted push-ups and weighted inverted rows, Any of the other tricky, flashy stuff you see on social media, it's going to be a lot easier for you to train up for because you're just brutally strong at the basic movements. Hence why I prescribe adding weight to the basic movements rather than increasing your leverages and doing more difficult variations. To me, it's just more beneficial. Progressive overload is easier and you get more benefits out of the movements. And the last method of progression is just to use gymnastic rings for all of your movements. Simply put, because of the instability the gymnastic rings cause you, when you do them, you're wobbling all over the place. It's going to make the exercise a lot harder and reduce your reps by quite a lot, giving you months, if not years, of progression to make down the line. And also, getting strong and proficient at the basic movements on gymnastic rings will carry over to the straight bar movements. So for example, if you can do weighted dips with gymnastic rings, when you jump onto the straight bar and do dips, you're going to be able to use a lot more weight and you're going to be very, very strong. And also, gymnastic rings, they can be a bit more accommodating to your body structure because you can manipulate your elbow and shoulder position. If normal straight bar exercises give you pain, jump on the gymnastic rings and you might find that pain to completely disappear. And that's everything I have to say on that topic. So, add external weight, increase your leverages, or use gymnastic rings. Try these methods out and over time you're going to build a lot of muscle and get brutally strong. So with all that being said, try out for yourself and see you go from there. Until next time, peace.